Okay, it's on. Welcome, everybody, to the Rye Town Council meeting of September 19th, 2024. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Heavenly Father, bless this assemblage. Grant us the wisdom to make every decision fair-minded in the best interests for all its residents. Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call her. You're on that side again, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get back here. Councilperson Pamela Jaffe. Here. Councilperson Jill Axelrod.
Here.
Councilperson Thomas Nardi.
Here.
Councilperson Randy Sellier.
Present.
And Supervisor Gary Zuckerman.
Present. First item, of course, adoption of minutes from August 15th. If there are no objections, corrections, may I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Comments from the public on non-agenda items? Non-agenda items? Anybody on Facebook, Debbie?
Nobody.
Okay. Anybody? Non-agenda item?
Yep, non-agenda. Could you update the residents of the town of Rye and Village Fargo about what's going on at 900 King Street? I was at a meeting where we were told that the parking lot of 900 King Street was going to be rented for a month. Not really rented, but made available to the school district for the seniors who park there, but not beyond September, because something may be happening in October. Is there any update from the town of Rye?
Town of Rye has nothing to do with 900
You're a
King
taxing
Street,
authority there,
other than working with the municipalities on the taxing issues.
so you have no
We
knowledge
have-
of anything?
We have no knowledge of
Okay.
anything whatsoever.
Fair enough, thank you.
Thanks, Rick. We're going to have a presentation on the Otter Creek Bridge, but Councilman Nardi has to leave early today, so we're going to do the resolutions first and then circle back to the presentation. First resolution is approving the appointment of administrative judge for the Town of Rye Justice Court. I don't know if it's publicly known, but our administrative judge, Anthony Provenzano, has resigned because of a conflict with another position that he's taking. He is remaining as a justice of the town court, but he's relinquishing his duties as administrative judge. And this resolution appoints Justice Max DeFabio as the new administrative judge at the same stipend. May I have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Are there any questions, comments? If none, Hope, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffe.
Yes.
Councilperson Axelrod.
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi.
Yes.
Councilperson Sellier.
Yes.
And Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. Next resolution is approving a contract for Town Administrator Deborah Reisner. The agreement is appended to the resolution. As everybody knows, Debbie has been serving as Town Administrator now for a number of years, since we passed a local law approving that position. And it is our desire to enter into a formal written contract with Debbie, and her desire to enter into a contract with the town. It is set forth. May I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second.
Any comment from the council?
Debbie, we appreciate all the very hard work that you do on behalf of us as council people and everybody who lives in the town of Rye. We really appreciate everything that we do. We feel very lucky to have you, and we'll gladly continue to do so.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Thank you for your commitment to the town and the people of the town. You do so much. I don't think people do realize quite the extent of what you and your team do. So just know that your council really appreciates you, and we do spread that appreciation amongst everyone in the community. Thank you for being the glue that holds us together.
It's truly an honor to serve. Thank you.
I agree. 100%.
And speaking as a supervisor, and I don't know if anybody, I speak to Debbie multiple times a day, talking about all the things going on in the town. And I truly appreciate her professionalism, and it's a joy to work with Debbie. And I think that we as a team, we have an executive office team that is fantastic. Carla, Carissa, and now Ruby. It's a great team, and together with the council, I think we all work together and we've accomplished a lot in the last number of years. So, thank you. Hope, call the roll, please.
Councilperson Jaffe?
Yes.
Councilperson Axelrod?
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi?
Yes.
Councilperson Selyer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Zuckerman?
Yes. The next resolution is approving salaries for the deputy receivers of taxes. I guess a number of months ago, we approved a local law that created a second deputy receiver position. And under the law, we are entitled to do that. We can create 2 deputy receiver positions and actually 3 deputy clerk positions. And we've established the second deputy receiver of taxes. And that position, that is an appointment of the existing receiver of taxes, Nick Mecca. And Nick has appointed Carla Puglisi, who I aforementioned works in the supervisor's office now and is our chief bookkeeper. And Carla will be taking over the position of deputy receiver in addition to Antonio Ramos. And the salaries for both deputy receivers are equalized in this resolution at $71,000 per year, effective immediately. Carla, it's actually a very small increase for Antonio and is an approximately the same amount that Carla is currently receiving. Am I correct, Debbie, with that?
Correct.
Okay. So, we had a motion and a second, correct? No, we didn't. Just my explanation. Okay.
Yeah.
Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Hope, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffe?
Yeah.
Councilperson Axelrod?
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi?
Yes.
Councilperson Selyer?
Yes.
Supervisor Zuckerman?
Yes. Resolution granting permission to Soul Riders to tie the park pink. On October 1st, 2024. As many of you know, we have done this for several years. Soul Riders is an organization that deals with cancer survivors, and they do a lot of good work throughout the town of Rye and the city of Rye, and this is one of their fundraisers. I personally each year buy a ribbon to put on my property, and I advocate strongly for this group. They're a wonderful group of people who do a lot of good in the town and city. Debbie left. Do we have anything in addition? May I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
They're a really good organization. They have a lot of nice fundraisers down at the Wright Town Park, and they're a good, very good outfit.
The next item, the next 4 items are tax cert matters. Who's going to handle them? Charlie? Jeff?
I will give it my best shot because I'm struggling with
Jeff has COVID.
Oh, don't even.
I am your super spreader.
Just kidding. He has a
So the
sinus
first one is
infection.
Labella Realty. This is a commercial property. I'm sorry, if I've taken it out of order, I'm sorry.
With LaBella, do it.
Right, so the refund on this one is relatively minor. This is a commercial property in Portchester, and we're settling 4 years. The village refund is just over $4,000, and the school refund is just over $8,000 total.
I'll ask this question each time. The village and the school district have been apprised of this and are...
Yeah, I have. We have along the way, but I've also done that this morning on all these properties. In particular, the Phil Ciliano, the Worcester school business manager, has been made aware of all the settlements.
Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffe?
Yes.
Councilperson Axelrod?
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi?
Yes.
Councilperson Selyer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. Which one do you want to do next, Jeff?
We'll do the big one, Wellington Greene. That's a 66-unit condominium. And the refunds here are fairly substantial, so there's been a long negotiation, over this case. We've had 2 years. We've been able to knock 2 years off. They've been withdrawn. So this is a case that's settled from 2018 to 2022 with the school district. The refund to the school district is about $160,000, the village $80,000. And this is basically, these are relatively small refunds per condo unit, but they add up. And then they add up both by the number of units and the number of years. So fortunately, we were able to get the plaintiff's attorney to withdraw 2023 and 2024. Condominiums.
So each one gets their own refund.
They each get their own refund, yeah.
All right.
So that's a refund spread over a 7-year period.
Spread over, well, actually, those refunds account for 2018 through 2022.
And with 2 years withdrawn.
With 2 years
So
withdrawn.
the settlement covers 7 years.
Correct.
I'm trying to give you as much credit as possible.
Actually,
I'm
Dan,
not used to that.
yeah, but didn't Dan,
Yeah.
isn't this Dan's case?
So yes, this is Dan's case.
Give Dan credit.
This is an old one of mine, but Dan took it this time. Yeah, I'm familiar with this.
Okay, motion and a second, please. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffe?
Yep.
Councilperson Axelrod?
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi?
Yes.
Councilperson Selyer?
Yes.
And Supervisor
Yes,
Zuckerman.
thank you.
You gotta
The
talk
next
a
one
little
is
bit
12 Hilltop, which is a residential, it's a house, 12 Hilltop Drive in Portchester. This is a relatively minor refund to the school district, $6,000, and to Portchester Village, just over $3,000. This is 1 year at issue, 2020.
Motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
If there's no discussion, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffe?
Yes.
Councilperson Axelrod?
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi?
Yes.
Councilperson Selyer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes.
Washington Park Plaza, this was my case. We got 2 years withdrawn out of a total of 3, so basically we're settling 2020. The school district, this is in the village of Portchester, the school district's refund is just over $30,000, and the village is just over $12,000. And this is at 251 South Ridge Street, which is a strip mall.
Now, that Washington Park Plaza is the shopping center where Acme is. Isn't there a refund also with Rybrook, or is it just Portchester?
Yeah, I guess, is that on this paper? The Rybrook, oh, yeah. Oh, about just over $7,000. And Chris Bradbury's been notified this morning about that.
Second.
Speak into the microphone.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Jaffe?
Yes.
Councilperson Axelrod?
Yes.
Councilperson Nardi?
Yes.
Councilperson Selyer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Zuckerman?
Yes, thank you. Let me just say something about the tax certs. I usually say this when we have a group of them. The municipalities, the villages, the school districts are aware of what's coming down the road because we have meetings 3 times a year to discuss every single tax cert case that's on the list, with particular attention to those that have large assessments, $5 million or more, and that have many years outstanding, which we are trying to reduce, and we have reduced substantially, and also that have what they call note of issues, meaning they're getting ready for trial. So none of these are a surprise to either the villages or the school districts when we settle the cases, because we discuss them. Usually they know about it. Even if they don't know the exact specifics at the time, they are aware that this is coming down the road, usually months ahead of time. So, no surprises. And with that, thank you. That ends the resolution section, unless I missed one. And now back to the top of the agenda for the highlight of our day.
I'd just like to thank you guys for being patient, and let us go through.
Tell us who you are and why you're here.
Of course. That's my first few sentences. I love a microphone, so, okay, great. Oh, we have to go back. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. Okay, my name is Mia Nadaski. I'm a principal with HVEA Engineers, and I'm here with Steve McAvery, our environmental scientist, landscape architect, and Jason Watska, the structural engineer on this project. I am here to give a progress update on the Southbury Avenue project, bridge over Otter Creek, and it's a bridge replacement, and just to keep everyone informed about the status of the work going on. So first, a recap of this bridge project. The town applied for a Bridge New York federal aid funding and secured those funds at an 80% federal, 15% toll, and 5% for the town share of the costs, and that means that the town residents are getting this project at 5 cents on the dollar. So appreciate the administration for securing those funds. So
The cost was? How much?
You have the cost. You have it in that page. Here it is. Okay. The cost is 95% federal funding, $4.841 million, and 5% locally funded, $256,000. That's the full grant, including construction, design construction, and construction oversight. Okay.
Unless we could find more money elsewhere.
Yeah, I think as we've seen now, we think it's going to cover the cost of the project.
Okay,
So, okay, existing conditions. So the existing bridge is a steel beam bridge on stacked stone, originally mortared foundations and abutments. The steel beams are showing signs of deterioration, and it's not the material that's preferred over water. It's the DOT actually has changed all bridges over water. They prefer concrete because the steel does deteriorate like this, and you need to paint it very often to keep it maintained so it doesn't deteriorate, and it's almost impossible to keep up, especially in this type of location, which is a salty, briny water. So it's not founded on piles as well, and that's another problem. The DOT requires all bridges over water to be founded on piles to avoid failure due to scour, and they're called scour critical bridges. So they're actually, in the Bridge New York program, it's a lot of the bridges are critical bridges over water that they're founding on piles, replacing and founding on piles. And lastly, The hydraulic opening and the elevation of the low chord, which is the lowest point on the bridge, were recommended to be increased to prevent overtopping and debris collection during storm events. So to address all of these needs, the bridge replacement was a recommended alternative. Okay, so this is the proposed new bridge. The new bridge will be pre-stressed concrete voided slabs founded on new piles and abutments. The hydraulic opening will be increased by 15 feet. That's the width of the bridge. We call it the length, but it's more generically known as the width of the bridge where the water goes under. And the low chord will be raised a little more than a foot. And in a location like this, when you raise the low chord, it does a lot because it's such a huge watershed that one foot up, it takes a lot more water on. And it's so that's the most effective thing to do, is to raise the bridge. The abutments on the main, I'm calling the mainland side, this side over here, and the yacht side, this side. I call this the Otter Creek side and this the Sound side, just to be, instead of north, south, east, west, so that everybody can kind of get an idea of where we are. So the abutment on the mainland side will be constructed behind the existing abutment, and the existing abutment will be used partially as supportive excavation during the construction and removed once the new bridge is in place. The abutment on the yacht club side over here will be constructed in place of the existing abutment, and a cofferdam will be needed on both sides during the construction to keep the water out when we're driving new piles in the abutment locations. The cofferdams, this is one of the more stringent environmental requirements of the job. The cofferdams must be put in place during non-fish spawning season, which is between March 1st and June 30th every year. And then after the cofferdams are put in place and it's dewatered behind the cofferdams, we can work that's considered out of the water, and we can work in those locations at any time during the year. So those dates don't apply during that time. Also, the bridge will be widened, as you can see, because of the stage construction, which we'll go through in just a minute. And the widened section will be left in place as an overlook to the Otter Creek Preserve, which is this direction here. Okay, so this is the staging. This is as you're looking, standing on the yacht club property, looking back towards the mainland. So this is the existing bridge right now. You might know there's an existing water main here. It's actually only an 8-inch water main, but it's encased in insulation, and then it has metal brackets around it too. So it's much more obtrusive than just the 8 inches of the water main. That's going to be, well, I'll get to what's going to happen with that. And then there's 2 9-foot travel lanes and a 4-foot sidewalk. That's existing configuration. So the very first stage 1 is going to be this 1-lane alternating traffic under a temporary traffic signal, and a 10-foot 2-inch lane, so trucks are able to pass through that. The biggest requirement, another big requirement of this project, is that one-way alternating traffic. We have made an agreement with the yacht club not to do that configuration during the height of the season for the beach yacht and beach club, which is Memorial Day through Labor Day every year. So so we'll get to that, how that impacts our project schedule. And then this right here is a gas main, and this is the existing water line. So okay, so stage 1 demo, the cars will be 1-lane alternating, and this whole section will be removed. The water line will be moved first. Excuse me. The water line will be temporarily located here, and then this whole section will be removed. Then the construction during stage 1, the entire section here will be, so it'll accommodate 2-way traffic in stage 2. This will be constructed, and the permanent water main will be actually relocated under the bridge, so it won't be hanging on the side, and it'll be tucked underneath. And that was an agreement that the Waterworks made, encouraged by the supervisor, and that was in an effort to make the view shed more beautiful on that side. So the water main is tucked underneath the bridge. The gas line at this time, a sleeve will be put in place, and the gas line will be relocated to this first little conduit, and then the second conduit is an extra sleeve that will be left in place for any future sewer line that they wanted to have an opportunity to have that just in case the sewer line is programmed for that area. And it's better to have it than to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. The Village of America.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes. Oh, did you want to stop me there? It's probably easier for me to answer a question if you have it right on that.
Yeah, on those sleeves, is there a sleeve?
Oh.
Go
I
up to
can
the
repeat it
podium
if
and
you want.
state your name and address, please.
Mary Stetson, 565 Alder Road. It's the khaki-colored house that you saw in the background right at the bridge. With these extra sleeves, do you have an extra sleeve to put the wiring, the electric lines, underground cable lines to eliminate overhead wires in the future?
We do have additional conduits that we put in place. No one has claimed them yet, but in the same reason why if you want to, you'd rather have them there, not use them, than want them and not have them there. So you'll see that under the sidewalk does have additional conduits, yeah. No one has, Con Ed has not contacted us to say that they want to do that work, but they will be there, so. Okay, so then that stage one is complete, that construction is complete, and then the traffic moves onto this side, and then for this time period and for the rest of the project, there'll be 2 lanes in either direction, 1 lane in either direction, 2 lanes total. So that'll be stage 2. The cars will be over here, and then all of this will be demolished, and then the stage 2 construction will be in these, the piles and the abutments are built, plus the voided slabs are put in place. And then there's a closure pour between the 2 sections of the bridge right there. Then stage 3, the cars are moved back over to the new bridge, and then Jersey barrier is put in place, because then we're gonna construct this sidewalk here, which is the overlook, and that's right here. It shows 9 foot 3 inches, and these are those extra sleeves that we're gonna be putting in place. And this is the final proposed configuration of the bridge with 2 12-foot travel lanes, and then the 9 foot 3 inch sidewalk on the Otter Creek Preserve side. So the utility relocations. So the existing overhead lines are in conflict with us, the construction and the future proposed bridge, because that's the side that we're doing all the widening on. So they're right overhead of that. So before the project starts, after we have acquired the right-of-way, but before the project starts, Con Ed will be relocating the overhead lines permanently to the sound side of the bridge. And that's that work there. In anticipation of that, and those will permanently be staying on the sound side, not on the Otter Creek Preserve side. The existing Con Ed gas line, I think I covered that. It's embedded in the bridge deck, and it'll be relocated into the new bridge, and we believe it'll stay in the new location. We are still having discussions with Con Ed whether they want to move it back, but we don't believe they'll want to. Once they have it moved to the new location, they'll probably just leave it in that location. And then the existing joint waterworks, we also covered that pretty clearly, temporarily located to the sound side and then installed underneath the new bridge. I hear some muttering. Yeah, do you want to ask a question? Sure.
Dana Stetson, Mary's husband, that's what I describe myself as. Can you go back to the plan, the overlay plan? There we go.
Yeah, okay.
So, looking at this here, I thought this was one of the telephone poles, no?
Not the permanent, no. That's actually, that's a piece of guide rail. That's the guide rail.
Yeah.
Connotation,
So
yeah.
that's news to us that that's moving over.
Mhm.
We are not in favor of that at all, because that was never presented to us and never discussed before. And I'm not sure why, given the layout, that's necessary.
So the existing overhead run just about right here over top of the sidewalk. And so because we're doing all of our widening on this side, prior to the project beginning, they're getting relocated they're going to go from here, move across the street to right about here, and then the last pole is going to be here and continue there.
That's very, negative for us, right? Given the situation that we have, I don't see why that is so necessary. We object to relocating the electric lines in that position from where they were. I don't see that, personally, I don't see that as a major requirement of this design. I can see it might be convenient for Con Ed, but it's a big negative for us.
Well, no, it's not convenient for Con Ed, it's for our project.
Okay,
We've
well,
requested, so I
convenient
can,
for you,
no,
right, yeah.
but I can explain to why that is. We, for the project, we took all land trust property. We didn't take any of the other owners, so it's all land trust. So because we're doing all the construction on this side, the crane is gonna be located right about in this location. And because when the crane picks the beams up and puts them in place, that's how they put them in place. And so that utility has to be out of the way of the crane swinging the pieces in place.
I can see the temporary basis has to be out of the way, but could it be relocated back? That would be my request.
We can talk to Con Ed. I mean, they are going to have it relocated there, and there's no, if we did bring it back over to the sidewalk with the overlook where the sidewalk is, they would have to bring it well outside of the existing right-of-way, and that's something they would have to get easements for and redo. So to have it permanently located there, that's on the right-of-way of the Village of Mamaroneck, right? This is all Village of Mamaroneck property, or Town of Rye property. What we're taking for the property, the fee acquisitions, are Town of Rye property.
No. You're taking land trust property,
The fees,
right. Any other property,
no.
there's no village, that's what I'm trying to get at. The property taking is from the Westchester Land Trust,
Correct.
not the Village of Mamaroneck.
Correct. It's from the land trust, and the final owner is going to be
The Town of Rye.
Town of Rye. That's what I was getting.
But I still haven't seen a good reason why the pole cannot be relocated pretty much back to where it was.
Well, it couldn't
Yeah,
go
which is-
exactly back where it was,
Well, I
because
mean,
this,
roughly back to where it was.
right, it couldn't go exactly where it's back to. We'd have to go out to here.
Well, why is that? Why couldn't it
Excuse
go-
me,
'Cause
excuse
you
me,
can't go-
excuse me.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it go in this area?
Mr. Stetson?
Yeah.
Mr. Okay, we're not here to argue about this project right now. If there's a concern that you have, I would suggest that you contact HVEA and discuss it privately rather than in this forum. We're here for a
Yeah.
presentation.
I
Your
think an
concerns,
adjacent
no, I just want to say, concerns are valid, but there's no room to argue about that at this point. Okay, I think that's a private conversation that you and the engineers can have and explain each point of view and see what could be resolved.
Sure, Supervisor Zuckerman, I don't think we're arguing here, I think we're just discussing
Right.
the possibilities.
Yes,
And
I'm
I
fine
thought that
with
was
it.
the purpose of this meeting, was to get feedback from homeowners.
We are, and you are giving feedback, and this board appreciates it.
Okay.
But I don't think we're gonna resolve it
Well, I'm not
tonight.
expecting a result today.
Yeah,
but-
you've made your concerns, and they're valid, and they're indeed valid concerns that need further discussion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, let's see where I was. Forecast timeline, okay, so, we have a much more detailed timeline, and I can leave that here for people to, review of what has happened on the project so far, but we currently are here in the end of September, early October. The final design report, we have one more hurdle with DOT, signing off on the Section 106. Because it's a federal aid project, we have to go through NEPA and SECRA, so both of those things require, it's a pass-through through the state, so they have approval authorities. Once we are granted the concurrence with the environmental, the town will grant design approval, and that allows the project to move into detailed design and the right-of-way acquisition phase. And like I said, the right-of-way acquisition is all land trust property. We have temporary easements, and then we have fee acquisitions for the project. And as soon as we get design approval, we can't actually have closings until we have design approval and have approval to go on to right-of-way. So as soon as that happens, we'll go on to the right-of-way phase. And at that time is when Con Ed will have the acquisition, the property, to move those lines for the construction of the project. We'll leave it at that at this time. And then October through January, we're gonna finish our detailed designs and bid documents, complete those acquisitions and do the closings on the property, as well as secure all the environmental permits for the project. We anticipate advertising for bids January or February 2025. It's usually a 4 to 5 week ad, and then we get the bids in, and then we have about a month where we review the bids and we award the project to the lowest responsible bidder. We do have this requirement, like I said, that 2 lanes have to remain open during Memorial Day to Labor Day. So since we're letting the project in April, we're coming right up to that Memorial Day, so we anticipate that all of the precursors and preambles of the project will be done. They can actually install some of those cofferdams and do some of the work, but they won't be able to close the road to the 1 lane and start the stage 1 that I showed until Labor Day of 2025. And then the construction will go through 2025. By Memorial Day of 2026, they'll have to have 2 lanes open. They'll probably be progressed further on than that. And then we anticipate that the project will be completed December 2026. So you'll be able to watch as the construction starts in those stagings that I showed you. You'll really be able to get the timeline as you see the cars moving back and forth from the 1 to the 2 to both sides of the bridge, and you'll see the construction of the bridge going on. There was one final thing that we wanted to update everyone on. So as I said, the right-of-way is being obtained from the Westchester Land Trust, who they own and maintain the Otter Creek Preserve. And a temporary easement is being obtained, as I said, in that one location on the mainland Otter Creek Preserve side of the bridge to stage the crane to install the voided slabs. And the Land Trust has asked us, the requirement is for us to restore it to the slope area, the shore area, and they said that because that shore area is currently compromised and has a lot of invasive species, they would prefer that we leave that a flat area and that we look to install a handicap parking space for people with limited mobility having access to the preserve. That's one spot, and because it can't be perpendicular because you can't back out onto the roadway. It has to be parallel with the roadway. So it would be one spot parallel to the roadway, and it would be signed for towing to ensure only handicap use and not general public use. Lastly, the ped rail and the highway guide rail is to be painted by a color that was picked by SAPOA. And then we're going to, during construction, we'll provide a sample of that in real time so they can, confirm that that's their choice for that color. And that's all I have for the update.
All right, thank you.
Hey,
Okay.
Dana Stetson here again. Thank you so much for that detailed information. Can you go back to the first slide you showed with the overlay? There we go. I don't see is parking in that image?
We don't have parking in this. This was done before. We recently, but it would be in about this. It's exactly where that truck is, and then the access for the handicap would be right to this sidewalk. We'd have a ramp going to that sidewalk.
Again, we would advise that we think that's not great. We've enjoyed a beautiful view of Otter Creek, living here 30 years, and understand the Land Trust is interested in that. We've communicated with them a little bit, and they've actually indicated us, one of the reasons for that was so their staff could park there. Now, if you label it handicap, no one can park there.
Right.
And as a practical matter, there's really not too much of an opportunity for any handicap usage of this whole area. The entire Otter Creek Preserve is not handicap accessible. And so, as much as we're against any parking, I think a possible compromise would be to leave that area in a natural gravel state and allow a parking, potential parking there, in particular for their staff, versus no one can, effectively nobody can use that for parking, staff or otherwise. I mean, obviously there might be some small percentage of handicapped people, but I'm not sure why a handicapped person would want to park there.
Well, it does go right to the sidewalk, but understanding what you're saying, it will be Land Trust property when we finish our project. So we could, we have been in discussions with them, and this is really between the town of Rye and the Land Trust in the closing documents. We could leave it as a flat area that they would future develop on their own, and then they would be develop it on their own in the future. We wouldn't do it as part of this project.
They have the right to do that.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, I don't think as a part of this bridge project, we need to invest effort in a
That's,
handicap
okay,
space.
well, that's something that the town should,
I
yeah.
think that's something also that could be discussed, because if you have a parking spot there, that parking spot is available for both handicap and non-handicap people. So reserving it as a handicap spot makes it non-accessible. As Mr. Stetson says, it's non-accessible to other people who might want to access the land trust, including land trust personnel. So I think that's an item that should be discussed. The town of Rye has done many projects. In fact, one of our goals is to make every aspect of the town accessible to all. So we are normally very, very open to things such as accessible spots. But in this case, I think Mr. Stetson may have a proper point as to why this particular spot should be accessible, because if it was not marked as accessible, a handicapped person could access it anyway. So, I think this is something that we could talk to the land trust about.
And that's part of, absolutely, and that's between the town and the land trust. As you're doing those closing documents, you would detail that in the closing documents of what we would be required to put there. And yeah, we had this discussion, and that was one of the things I did want to bring up tonight, because it was one of the things they were asking for, that was something that the town is going to have to make a determination on.
I don't know also, the placement of handicap spots, I would think would be subject also to the building department or whatever department in the village of Mamaroneck that have jurisdiction over that. People can't just put handicap spots any place they want. It has to be an approved spot and enforceable by the village code. So that's a discussion that would need to be had going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
My name's Aristide Zerbuk, 575 Alder Road. I'm adjacent to the Stetson's house. Right there, thank you. I agree. I would prefer to see the handicap spot if it's to access to the preserve, on the preserve side. I'm not really sure if the explanation you gave, that I'm understanding why it couldn't be on that side. Also, moving on to if it is on this side of the Otter Creek side, I believe that is village property. I know Supervisor Zuckerman, you asked at the beginning, are we taking all of the preserve land that we're using? And I think that
So the only land that I know of that we're taking by, let's call it a friendly eminent domain procedure, is land trust land. So land that is currently owned by the village of Mamaroneck on either side of the bridge is not something that we're going to be touching.
I would disagree. I would say that truck right there that's in that image is 100% on village property. I've been watching the people coming and going, surveying. I am sure that's village
Well,
property.
there are maps that indicate who owns it. They have the maps.
Yes.
And
So
the only portion so the land trust property, the only portion that's a fee taking is permanent structures. So actually on the opposite side is where we're doing most of the fee taking, where the wall is continuing on and where the abutment is gonna be permanently on the land. That's where fee takings are. That's gonna be a temporary easement that's gonna be given back to the land trust, and is where the crane is gonna sit when they put the beams in place. So that'll be flattened out and it's given back, and they've requested to leave it flattened out, and they further requested for the parking space, but now we're looking to maybe circle that back to just leaving it flat for them.
yeah, we would like to see it remain as natural as possible and not be asphalt. And I'm not sure if you're done with your presentation, but I am curious to know what the materials are going to be that you use for the passengers that walk the pedestrian side.
The materials of.
Is
on
it
the
all going to be
concrete?
steel and concrete?
The interior guide rail is gonna be bridge rail along the roadway side, along either side of the roadway. And then on the overlook side, on the side of the sidewalk, we're doing pedestrian fencing. That's consistent with bike path fencing.
Because my concern is that since day one, when we started finding out that this bridge was going to have to be repaired, replaced. I wanted to be involved in our neighborhood, to be involved. This is one of the most beautiful spots in the Westchester County, right there. And if we have a bridge that's completely hideous, in my opinion, as well as many others, and we have this one opportunity throughout our lifetime to get a nice looking bridge, to use the same materials and make it look hideous again, is a disappointing for taxpayers and all the people that come here to use that preserve, walk across it, natural beauty I just hate this. The Stetsons and I have the view that look at this bridge every day. Okay? We've moved here. The bridge is very near and dear to my heart. I got engaged on a bridge. It's very important. We love seeing this bridge. We love seeing nature. I'm just going to emphasize again, we have had no input whatsoever from day one on how this bridge is going to look. First and foremost, safety. But if we're going to change this bridge one time here and change it and have the same guardrails and everything else, I think we have a missed opportunity here. And for the price that we're getting it for, we should be able to put a little money into it ourselves. The Preserve, Shore Acres, Town of Rye, and the club. We have a lot of entities that could be contributing or to make this thing actually look nice. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and let me assure you that it is our objective to make it as attractive as possible. The one thing that I guarantee, whatever is there is going to be more attractive than what's there now. That's for sure.
That's a low bar.
That is a low bar. But look, we've worked on it. We have certain constraints because we're dealing, and Mia can explain better than I, with the Department of Transportation. And we suggest, or they have suggested through us, or we have suggested through them, certain things, and the DOT will say, that's against the law, it's against the regulations, you gotta put this, or you gotta put that. So we're dealing with the bureaucracy, and we're doing the best we can. We work with SAPOA. They have been involved from the beginning, and have commented, as Mia mentioned, on, to choose the color of the bridge, for example, and other things, and some design suggestions they've made that have in fact been put into effect. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the road. And we had a public hearing in the spring on that.
I'm sorry.
The rendering available? Because we do have a rendering of the new bridge, and I don't think I would say hideous, but that's
I thought you'd put that up.
If the picture is there, I mean, it kind of shows, anyway, it's a matter of opinion that it should not be argued. The point I'm trying to make
When do you
is
have
that
to leave?
I've tried to make several attempts to show that I want to be involved in this, and that the community should be involved. What we said at the beginning of the presentation is that we're getting this for 5 cents on the dollar. Why can't we spend some money? And there are beautiful bridges all around.
Well, we've been involved in other bridges. The town of Rye partnered with the Village of Mamaroneck to do the Hillside Avenue Bridge, and that won an award.
That's our company as well.
That's their,
And Waverly Ave as well.
yeah. So HVEA knows what they're doing when it comes to bridges, and they make them as attractive as the Department of Transportation will allow us to do. I assure you of that. When you look at the things that the town of Rye has done, it's always done at the highest level. Look at this building, for example, from what it was before. We try to do things first class for the residents of the town, and this bridge is no exception. Believe me, we want it to be as attractive as possible. For not only for you, but for all the residents who cross it. Do you have a copy, Debbie?
Yeah, here's the, I found one.
I'm sorry about the spring. I know we had a meeting that was called, and it was actually the neighborhood of Shore Acres was invited to at the Shore Acres Club. And there was a lot of input from the community. So, yeah, we are interested in seeing the rendering. But it was very short notice before we got the notification that community could be involved. It was like a couple days or
Well, we've
week
been
or
in
two.
contact, they've been in contact with SAPO, with Dan Natchez, and the other people involved. So it's not that the community has not been involved. I would suggest that you
Just
talk to
the color of the bridge, respectfully, having input on the color of the bridge is not really having input on the bridge, in my opinion. Sorry.
Can you put that up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Where the placement of the telephone poles is not on that.
No, it's an artist rendering.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for giving us that. I can convert it onto a jump drive and get it on. It'll take me a minute.
And as I said, we're looking, design approval is all the, what design approval is, we choose the replacement alternative, we choose the footprint of the bridge, and then we identify all the environmental impacts of that footprint, and then we mitigate all those environmental impacts. So that's the stage we're at right now. We've just gotten to that point. Detailed design is still happening on the bridge.
I'd like to ask one more.
Sure.
Bring up one more thing about, not so much the design, but the placement of the bridge, if we can go back to that. This bridge has been here, or not this particular bridge, but there's been a bridge here for quite some time. 1890, thank you. And I'm looking at the way that the approach is, and I know that there's a lot of rock ledge in this area and here. And I also see that the approach from Marion Beach Yacht Club comes in here. Has there been any research or data that shows that we cannot move the bridge on the same angle and move it out here and come across this way? Why does it have to come across here and then come to the Stetsons and then curve this way? Has there been any discussion or research that it could not go this way? Why,
Well,
that's where it is currently, but
Yeah.
if we're going to replace it, why does it have to be replaced in the same exact spot?
well, the first answer is that's not the town of Rye property. The roadway is, it has to tie back into the existing roadway as quickly as possible, or we have to buy all that property. So all that property that it would cross would be not the town of Rye property. That would be moving that whole road over quite a bit. Generally, what we do in bridge projects is we try to locate it where it's existing already to have the least amount of impact on the adjoining properties. To pull out the deficient bridge and place a replacement bridge on the same alignment and location.
I just see that we're kind of going out of our way here to make that single approach that it currently is, instead of taking a direct approach and going into where it seems like naturally the bridge should go. I know that the bridge has to go into stone. I mean, we have to drill down deep enough to get to.
There's another point, Aristide, and that is that the town's jurisdiction is over the bridge. The road is the Village of Mamaronneck's road. So we would not have jurisdiction to move the road in any way. That would be entirely the jurisdiction of the Village of Mamaroneck.
And possibly not covered by the federal aid, because the federal aid is a bridge replacement project, not a roadway realignment project. Unless there was something significant about why it can't go back in the location it's at, where we'd have to, there would be some overarching reason.
The last thing I just wanted to ask was what the orange line is. It's over the Stetson's driveway, and then our curb cut.
Tying into their driveway.
That should just resurfacing the driveway.
Yeah, that just ties into the driveway. That's not a change in elevation. That's just a redoing, because during construction, that's gonna be chewed up, and so we'll replace that section. but that'll be at the same, it ties in at the Green line where it's existing, and that will just be a reconstruction to make sure that any construction damage is repaired.
All right, Debbie, do you have that?
There we go. Sure.
Just one quick question. With Con Ed, is there any way that the town can help us and the development company can help us force Con Ed to put the section of electrical line that goes around that bridge under the bridge? Because as Eric had mentioned, that is the most beautiful spot in the whole, really, I think that's one of the most beautiful spots on the whole South Shore. And to have those big telephone poles hanging out over the other side, it's gonna be unsightly when you have a conduit. They could put at least that section of electric line through the bridge conduit and then bring it up on poles on the other side's got it. But just so that that bridge view is as beautiful as possible.
Of course, you know, I'm an engineer, so it can be done. It would be considered a betterment for a project like this. And so the costs of that would be not in the federal money, but it would be considered a betterment. That's the bad answer, I know, but we've done some undergrounding of electricity, and it's, I mean, $300,000 a length, and then like at each end you have to have these big vaults. So, I mean, but it's absolutely possible, but yeah. And there's also communication on there too. We'd have to, yeah.
Jason, you have to go to the microphone to be heard.
Oh, okay.
Did you have something to add, or?
No.
Okay, yeah, no, I think he was just thinking of the communication too, just to make sure that we didn't forget that there's also cable vision and
No,
telephone.
I was just gonna say that. You know, we really need to talk to all of the utilities, because as you know, on what is called a telephone pole is Con Edison, which is at the very top, and everybody else is below it. You know, you have Verizon and Optimum, or now Altice, and all the other utilities that use it. And I think that, yes, the best project would be to have all of them under the bridge. That's absolutely the best project. What it would cost, I'm not sure.
Exactly. We could
And who would pay
an
for it?
estimate of that.
They
Well, it
may,
would
they
definitely
may,
be a
they may do it
betterment.
and charge the ratepayers.
Right,
as
it would
opposed to
definitely
us.
be a betterment, and that it would be, the cost would be borne by the person, the owner of, not the utility, but the person that wanted to do it. So the town could pay for them to do it, but it would be pretty expensive. But it wouldn't be something you could get federal aid project. You couldn't get right. It would be a betterment, because there is another way to go. I mean, but I understand. We did underground a lot of utilities in Beacon several years ago down by the DM Museum, and it was, I think, $2 million to go from the ferry dock up to the Beacon, and they had these about every 300 feet they have these massive underground vaults to pull the wires, and that's not including the at that time we didn't have Cablevision or Verizon as well. But it's
All
not
right.
impossible physically.
So by the way, I took a photograph when Con Ed took down our bird's nest, by the way. I'm looking at it now, there's one very light auxiliary cable in addition to the three primary power cables.
Okay, so there's
it's
not much,
There's
yeah.
not a lot there.
Yeah.
Auxiliary cables.
All right. Mia, is that it?
That's all I have.
Okay, questions from the council?
Thank you.
One more question from our city.
Thank you. So, as like, we're like the closest ones to this project here in Shore Acres, Mamaroneck, and we're gonna be going through quite a bit of, I don't know, you guys saw how the bridge went in Mamaroneck, it took a long time. Jackhammering, there's dump trucks and there's cranes, and there's a lot that we're gonna be going through. I have an 8-year-old son who likes to run around in the yard and play ball, and this is gonna disrupt our lives. Okay? We take our kayaks, we bring the kayaks, we slide them along right into the creek. people that may want to use this preserve to get on their kayaks and go for a little drive and see how beautiful nature. Well, now we're gonna put a parking spot so someone could actually do that. Can we put something in there so that it's actually like a little floating dock along? If we're already doing this, can we put something like a little floating dock, the tidal marsh, it goes up and down, just so we can still be able to have access to do that? That was
It probably could be done, but not as part of this project. Because the project is designed to replace a bridge.
And now we're adding the handicap, now we're adding the spot.
Well, we're talking,
TBD, to be determined, I think, with the spot. I
can we
think
do
with
it-
the spot, we've gotten to that there's gonna be a flat area that the preserve is, we're gonna have discussions with them about that.
yeah, in fact, it could be determined that if this area becomes a flat area, instead of being asphalt, it could be, the porous pavement.
Right.
Or some other environmentally sound material that is much more attractive and yet will serve the purpose of being a level area that people with certain disabilities could use. That'll all be, we'll make sure, we'll look into that, and thank you for raising the
At the end
question.
of the project, it will be land preserved property. Again, that's a temporary easement that goes back to their ownership at the end of the project. Where that green line was in that will not be town of Rye property. That won't be under the control of the contract. It will just be left. And so that would be something, the preserve is, I think that they are open to constituents' input.
The amount of property that will be transferred to the town of Rye is only not even a couple of hundred square feet. I mean, the estimated cost is what, $1,250, something like
Yeah, it's just
that?
where we're putting
Yeah,
permanent.
very, very small,
Yeah.
very small.
Everything else will be returned to the owners after the construction is complete. And, and at that time, and they have asked us to leave, instead of trying to restore the slope area, they said that that's already compromised and has a lot of phragmites, so they don't want us to try to go in there and try to recreate a slope that's not really great already. So they'd rather have the flat area, is what they've asked.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, Steve. Everybody? So, tell me.
Jason.
Jason, right. Jason, thank you.
Steve is doing all the environmental permitting, so, heaviest lifting.
Yeah, I know. We know about environmental permitting, yes. Thank you very much. You could stay for the rest of the meeting, but it's,
The HVEA team, we meet with them at least every month and move the project along. We also have a timeline up on our website that people can follow along. And I want to thank all three members of your team for making the drive down here and
It's a
helping
long
us
way.
keep the community informed.
I live right somewhere, so it's not long for me. For them, it's longer. But yeah, thank you for having.
thank you very much for coming. Thank you for the presentation.
Not to be rude, but I'm gonna be.
You
heading
perfect
out.
timing.
Perfect time. All right.
Councilman Nardi will now depart for other appointments. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Okay,
Are we moving on? Should I take the illustration down?
yes.
Okay.
We're going to, Davey, you want to do the financial report? No additional? I would just like to point out that, once again, our tax receivables have declined from 0.84% to 0.76% year after year, and testament to our keeping on top of things. Before we get to the receiver, town attorney, do you have an additional report? Well, I'm looking down at, and he disappeared?
He said no. He couldn't take anymore.
Well, I'll just report for him. We have a list on the financial report of in-rem receivables, and our town attorney will begin shortly the in-rem petitions on 7 properties, all of which are in the village of Portchester. And we will shortly be publishing a list of current liens that are 1 year old, not yet subject to in-rem, but are have their property liens scheduled against the county clerk's office. Town clerk, your report is submitted. Anything to add?
Yes, I'd like to add something. October 13th, Sunday, we are having the Columbus Day Parade, and we're asking the public to join and come and see a lot of the wonderful displays that we're having. All the schools are participating, the children are excited about this, a lot of talent, a lot of good groups, a lot of good bands. And you're all invited to march.
Thank you.
And so it'll be.
Would you
the parade
can
will
we
start.
calendar that for all of us, please?
Okay, sure.
Or calendar it for all of us, whoever calendars things? Thank you.
So the parade starts at 2 p.m. on Sunday, October 13th, and the rain date is October 20th, same time. Same place, the corner of Hawthorne and Westchester Avenue, and they march down to Westchester Avenue, the bottom of Westchester Avenue, and then they're having festivities down there as well. So
Okay, great.
looks like a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Hope.
You're welcome.
Receivers report. Is Nick on?
Don't see it.
Okay, well, then I will make the announcement. Our receiver of taxes for many years, I don't know how many years, Hope?
He's been receiver for 16 years.
16 years, and before that, he worked in the clerk's office, I believe.
Yes, a total of
And
34
Nick
years.
Mecca has advised us that he will be retiring as of October 18th of this year. And meanwhile, he is working with our deputies to get all things in order. And we will, at some point, be appointing an acting receiver of taxes after his well-earned retirement. So I'm not when is our meeting next month?
So,
It's on the 18th.
it's the third.
October 17th.
Okay, so Nick will still be the receiver when we
Right.
when we have our meeting, and we'll congratulate him again at that time. There are no further reports, announcements. We have
There
holiday
are
lights.
announcements. Yes.
We have Halloween festival, Crawford Trunk or Treat, which you can talk about.
Yeah.
And I
Vic
know,
would
I
like to
see
make his
him
report.
there. Victor, I'm just going through that. Victor will give a Crawford Park report.
No, just you all got the report, right? Okay. Candy's away on vacation, well-deserved. If there's any questions on it, I'll answer them the best I can. Okay?
On our agenda.
Okay,
So would you attach it so we can all look at it
yes.
when you get a chance?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, as you see, the ball field was opened up. I'm not sure exactly the date, I'm just lost right now, but we opened it up a couple of weeks ago. We had a bunch of different teams there, from soccer to softball to football. And of course, Shelley Mayer was there because she got us the grant to do the field. If you haven't been out there, The grass is like a carpet, and the baseball field is well maintained. Okay, so we did have our first ever game on the field just this past Tuesday, I think it was. A group called RAPS, Westchester Recreation and Park Society. What that is it's the supervisors and leaders of all the recreation and parks offices throughout Westchester, your villages, your cities, your towns. So they came and we got to showcase Crawford Park, and again we got, wow, this is a hidden gem. And Gary was there.
Oh, yes, I was.
Yes, and it went real well. They split it up to whereas the northern towns and villages against the southern, and southern won 5-4.
And who was the umpire?
I was the umpire. Okay, this coming Wednesday, the 25th, we are having the first annual Town of...
I have to interrupt you. Do you want to watch the video?
Okay, yes. Sure.
Okay.
Can't play.
Can't play.
We can play.
I don't know.
It was all teed up. Oh, well. We'll work on that. Don't know.
It was fun.
It was before.
The actual ribbon cutting.
Yeah, of course. Oh, maybe this one.
Try that one. Nope. Wow.
Yeah, it's possible that when we took the jump drive out, that we may have to. Yes, we definitely need help. You have to reload it.
Calling on Ruby. Ruby's becoming the Jill of all trades. What's that? I'm gonna put you over here.
Not coming, huh? Okay. Can we pull up our, the poster for the cross country? That worked.
Sorry, no videos tonight. Wednesday, the 25th. I don't know how to get that out of the way there, but we're having the first annual Town of Rye cross-country meet, with the high schools being Blindbrook, Portchester, Ryeneck, Rye, and the Keough School. And it'll be starting at 4:45. Looking forward to this event. We are actually closing the road from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. so that we don't have to stop traffic while the kids are running. There's a boys division, a girls division, and there will be awards at the end. All within the park. Well, also they're using part of Rye Hills Park also. And they're running an actual 5K, 3.1 miles. So that's that. We did have a community cleanup this past weekend. Numbers were a little low, but we did get a lot of work done. And I want to thank everybody for that. And my last thing is our Halloween trunk or treat with a movie. We'd like you know, the whole council, if not all the employees, to bring their vehicles and open up their trunks. Last year, we were surprised. We had, for the first time doing it, we had a ton of people.
We had about 300 people.
Yeah, yes,
Now, that was a lot of fun. I hope all of you come because it was a lot of fun.
yes.
Bring so much candy.
But we're also, the town will be supplying treats to anybody that brings their vehicle, but if you'd like to bring your own, you're more than welcome. We also would like you to register so we know how many cars and how much area we need to save to do this. And that's all I have right now.
I have a question.
Okay, I'll give Holiday Lights.
I have a
plug.
question,
Okay.
guys. Oh, no, okay. My finger was, I was gonna say, what's the date? My finger was covering the date. That's okay.
All right,
October 26th.
yes. Okay, and the last is our Holiday Lights Festival. It's grown bigger and bigger every year. If you haven't been there, try and make it. It's from 4:30 to 7 o'clock. We're moving a few things around this year. The tree lighting will be done in the back where the food trucks and the music is played. And just be there, enjoy it, come and have fun. And Mrs. Claus will be there also. Thank you.
You've gotten so much use
Thanks,
out of that
Vic.
costume. That was a good festival.
All right. I don't really have anything. I think it's all been covered. Thank you, everybody. Does any comments from the council people?
I'm adding trunk or treat to my calendar, so I remember to buy candy.
Yes, you have to be there.
We expect everybody there. It was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
One last thing, you gotta decorate your trunk.
That's right.
No, that's the problem. You're gonna decorate it. I don't think, I'm not a decorator.
I brought chalk pens last year, right? I finally like Windexed off my son's car a year later.
All right. If there's nothing else, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.